there was a very interesting experiment done where they took black and red ants, put them in a glass jar, and then they would shake the jar violently. And what would happen essentially is that these two types of ants, which normally live harmoniously, they don't really have many problems with each other, they would try and kill each other. They essentially tore each other apart. And this is such a great analogy for what's happening in the world today. What we're seeing across the world, across different countries and different places, and across time, is different types of people from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different beliefs, even from people from different places that look different, that would ordinarily be fine. They would be in unity, they would help each other out, they would really not have a problem with each other whatsoever. Somebody, or a small group of people, are essentially shaking the jar, trying to stir up conflicts with people, and instead of focusing on who's shaking the jar, we focus on each other because that's the only people we can see on the surface level. And this happens so much with, for example, protests or what can turn into riots. And you have these agent provocateurs which will go in, and this has been proven many times, there's been many analysis of this sort of thing. They'll go into these protests which are peaceful protests. They'll go in and they will stir up violence, they will cause fights, they will incite people to do things and encourage people to push forward and do things they wouldn't normally do on both sides, on the side of the law enforcement and also on the side of the people protesting. They're shaking the jar. And more importantly, it's not just the agent provocateurs who go in and do that. You've got to think about who is paying those agent provocateurs. They are the people who are really shaking the jar. And there's a few names, I don't know if I can even mention them because of censorship and stuff like that, but if you look into it, there is a small group of people who are that, essentially. They are shaking the jar. They're causing funding conflicts and riots and disagreements in all areas of life, in terms of peaceful protest, in terms of these fake woke groups and things that are on the surface, it seems like they're trying to help, but really they're just trying to create more division, more polarity and more conflict. And you saw this in a huge way in 2020. There was a group of protests, or really they were riots, which were incited and created by these people, the people who are shaking the jar. So with anything, especially with politics, but really with anything in life, we need to be very aware of who is actually causing these things to happen. For example, right, let's say if what's happening now, there's a huge effort towards getting a certain treatment. I can't say anymore, but getting a certain treatment, a huge coercion into everybody should do this, right? And then there's a huge division between who has and hasn't done it. Why is there that division? Well, who's shaking the jar? It's literally the media. The media are labeling the people who haven't done it as this, far right. There's all these kind of labels and terms they give it, right? Far right, misogynist, or these random terms, anti this, anti that. But really these are just labels, and the people giving these people the labels are the people shaking the jar. Because these are labels and divisions that we just wouldn't do. We wouldn't make these assumptions about people if we weren't kind of brainwashed by the media and by other groups of people to think that way. You have especially on these big, these blog style news sites where they have these opinion pieces like, so-and-so is this way, here's why that's a good thing, or so-and-so is whatever, here's why that's a bad thing, or, these crazy opinion pieces that you've probably seen lots of them. And really what that is, if I can translate that headline for you, what it is here's what we want you to believe about this particular topic. Or here is the group of people we want you to be against, or the people we want you to judge or criticize. Without that article and without all of the millions of pieces of content the media puts out, your opinions and beliefs would be very different, vastly different. And as a society, we would be in a very different place if we didn't have the media giving us this division. So like I said, the media and other groups have these keywords, these trigger words, like conspiracy theorist, or, anti this, anti that, far right, misogynist, whatever, right? And what they've done is they've built up this stigma around these words so that all they need to do is label somebody with one of these words, and then the majority, or a chunk of the population, will just ignore their intuition, their own critical thinking, their own rational minds, and they'll just go along with the media and think, oh yeah, that person's a far right racist or whatever, even if they're absolutely not that, even if they have nothing to do with politics or being left or right or upside down or anything like that. Even if they have nothing to do with it, the media kind of brainwashes people to just label people in this way, put them in a little box and just forget about their opinion because it's not worth thinking about. They shake up the jar. They create this conflict. Anyway, so there's a few very easy solutions to this. The first one is to have conversations like these with people. When you hear people saying, oh yeah, he or she is a far right conspiracy, whatever, really challenge it in a calm way, because in most cases that's not true. These are just labels and ideas. What is true is that person that was labeled as far right, or whatever label they want to give it, is a human being with a wide range of opinions, beliefs, ideas, and knowledge. They're a multifaceted being. They can't be labeled and put into a tiny box like that. And when you do that, you're kind of outsourcing your thinking to the media company. So challenge it. Really, just ask questions like, "What do you mean far right? What does that even mean? Why do we need to be divided into left and right when both political sides are essentially funded by the same group of people? There's not really much difference between left and right. What really matters is who's funding the whole thing, which is, if you trace the money, very easy to see who's funding the whole thing. And so that's one way you can challenge things in a calm way, not in an angry way, because anger just creates more anger. You can only beat anger with love. I really believe that. And another way is to look at other platforms. So if you are aware of many platforms like Facebook, YouTube, Reddit, Twitter, Instagram, the censorship on these platforms is unbelievable to the point where I literally am speechless at how much they can censor and how frequently and how arrogantly they can censor things and label things as wrong, which are then proven days later to be correct, Or the funniest thing is when they'll label something as wrong, and then a few days later they'll reverse the narrative, and now the idea that it was wrong is a conspiracy theory, and now this is the new truth, and you should believe that truth because it's coming from the fact checkers. I mean, the whole thing is just ridiculous, and a lot of people see that. So those 5 platforms I mentioned are, I would say, the worst. And obviously we're on YouTube now, right? You can't really avoid using them, but at least use other ones as well, especially and specifically when you're trying to research something or get the truth about something. Don't rely on those 5 platforms because it's all censored. You're getting basically a tiny fraction of the information that is out there that's been filtered through all these the Ministry of Truths and fact checkers and all this nonsense. Instead, look at other platforms and I'm not going to give too many examples because these platforms come and go, but anything which has a focus on free speech, truth, freedom, and anti-censorship is usually a good place to start. So just off the top of my head, some places to consider would be things like Odyssey, Yandex, DTube. I mean, there's quite a few different ones. They come and go. Some platforms don't last very long, some do. If you join my Telegram's another one. If you join my Telegram group, I do sometimes post them in there. But yeah, you just need to be mindful of it. The censorship is very real. And above anything else, I would say I try and remember that we're all one. There's no difference between you and me. I'm just you in another body. And it's the same for everybody. There's no... These labels and borders and divisions we've created don't have to be there. There's just an idea. And if you really look at it, most of these separations and labels that are there are not created by the majority of people. They're created by a small minority to gain control and maintain control over you. And I can't really say too much more because, like I said, censorship. It'll just get shadow banned or hidden or something. But yeah, it's very easy to see. So I hope this was interesting. Leave a comment letting me know what you think.